Two-time TNA Knockouts champion, one-time TNA Knockouts Tag Team champion, the 2015 Queen of the Knockouts, 2021 Impact Hall of Fame member, ranked number 1 of the best 50 female singles wrestlers in the PWI Female 50 in 2008. Ladies, gentlemen, my non-binary friends, it is I, Josh Robinson, here for Love Wrestling, and today, this one's gonna be awesome, because we're talking about the legacy of Awesome Kong. Kia Stevens was inspired to become a professional wrestler by Amy DeMaas, known to WWE fans as Lita. In 2002, Stevens appeared on the Discovery Health Body Challenge as a contestant trying to lose weight in hopes of becoming a professional wrestler. Afterwards, Stevens trained at the School of Hard Knocks out of California. Soon, she'd be able to have her first professional wrestling match in the Empire Wrestling Federation. She also auditioned for Tough Enough 2, a competition in which the winner earned a World Wrestling Federation contract, but failed in her audition after Jim Ross told her she was quote-unquote too fat to be a WWE female superstar. Kia Stevens would, of course, head to Japan for All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling in 2002. She would undergo rigorous training to become fluent in Japanese, engaged in training for mixed martial arts, but chose to pursue professional wrestling. Now, Kia was going through the Young Lion system, I guess you could say, and that Joshi style of wrestling that we all know and love. She was doing great things, working alongside and against Aja Kong, one of the greatest female Japanese women's superstars in the history of Japanese wrestling. She would do many different things throughout 2002 to 2007 in Japan. She would become a mainstay of Japan in these times, working in various different promotions and doing various different things. She was just doing a lot in the world of Japanese wrestling and making a name for herself and really honing in on her craft, being something so different in the world of women's wrestling, in the world of wrestling just in general. She was doing a lot of cool stuff in the early to mid 2000s. Of course, her success in Japan attracted the attention of United States promotion Shimmer Women's Athletes, who began regularly booking her for their DVD tapings in Kong's homeland from 2006. Now, of course, there was many different things going on in Shimmer, the likes of Sarah Del Rey, Nikki Rocks, Mercedes Martinez, Cheerleader Melissa. There were so many women in this time in the world of women's wrestling that were ready to burst out onto the scene, but not a lot of mainstream attention was really taking place for them. But they were doing their own thing in their really cool stuff during Shimmer in 2006 and beyond. Now, of course, Stevens was... She was tugging along to get to the main stage of women's wrestling in the United States. Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong would do many different things in Shimmer throughout 2006, 7, and 8, and of course even works in the likes of Ring of Honor in 2007 and again in 2010. On October 11th, 2007, on an episode of TNA Impact, under her original name Amazing Kong, which would later be tweaked to Awesome Kong, as a part of TNA's attempt to bolster their Knockouts division, Stevens, Awesome Kong, whatever you want to call her, would pretty much come in to TNA and dominate in 2007. She would work with the likes of Angelina Love, ODB. She would work with all different kinds of women that you know and love throughout the TNA Knockouts division. But of course, I think it'd be stupid of me not to mention about her amazing work with Gail Kim. In 2007 and 2008, Awesome Kong and Gail Kim were able to do something that no women were really doing at the time, and that was putting on amazing matches. Now, when I say that, what I mean is having the opportunity to put on amazing matches. They would main event episodes of Impact. The Knockouts division was doing regularly, consistent, great numbers for TNA. They were doing things that were not happening on the opposition side of things when you look at what the #1 wrestling company in the world was doing, WWE. TNA was doing something really different. TNA was actually presenting women as wrestlers. Their knockouts were doing great things. Awesome Kong is the perfect example of what a diva wasn't just because of what we talked about before when she auditioned for Tough Enough. They were able to do some stuff that was really damn cool, and Gail Kim and Awesome Kong were the perfect example of giving women a chance to actually deliver in the ring, and they killed it. Awesome Kong would of course become the TNA Knockouts champion twice, and of course win the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships once. She was doing some cool things in her time in TNA throughout the 2008, 2009, 2010 period. Of course, she would do different things within the TNA Knockouts division, the TNA Knockouts Tag division. She would do awesome stuff like work in Lethal Lockdown. She would do awesome stuff like working inside of a steel cage, hardcore matches, no DQ matches, doing different things. Her time would eventually wind down in TNA after some incidents with management and just some people around that we won't get into today because there's no point in airing out that dirty laundry. But she was eventually released from TNA at the end of 2010. From April 11th, 2011 and onwards, vignettes aired during WWE television with Awesome Kong, whose face was concealed by shadows and her signature braids, dismembering female dolls while cackling manically. During the April 25th episode of Monday Night Raw in 2011, Stevens' face was shown for the first time in the vignettes, under her new WWE ring name, which was revealed as Karma. Karma would make her debut on May 1st, 2011 at the WWE pay-per-view Extreme Rules, attacking Michelle McCool after a match. Of course, she would keep attacking WWE divas for a few weeks after, before she uncharacteristically broke down crying. Following week, Karma spoke for the first time to reveal she was pregnant and thus forced to take a leave of absence from WWE. Bit of a shocker. It was really cool to see Karma in her very, very brief run in WWE in 2011. She was going to change the idea of a diva. There was going to be some cool stuff, I'm pretty certain, but everything happens for a reason. Of course, Karma wrestled one and only one WWE match in her career, and that was in the 2012 Men's Royal Rumble match as the 21st entrant. She intimidated Michael Cole into eliminating himself before eliminating Hunico, only to being thrown out by Dolph Ziggler. She became the only third female after Chyna and Beth Phoenix to participate in a Men's Royal Rumble match. This was marked as her first and only WWE match. She was released thereafter in 2012. She confirmed that she'd been released by WWE and was never seen under the WWE banner ever again. After her WWE release in 2012, of course, Stevens would re-enter the independent circuit and return to Japan, do different things throughout the time. I think Stevens was Awesome Kong, whatever you want to call her. If you want to call her Karma, go ahead and call her Karma. Whatever you want to call her, she was doing cool things still within the world of wrestling. She wasn't done wrestling when she was released by WWE, but it was just, everything happens again for a reason. She would work with the likes of Eva Lise and Mia Yim on the independent circuits throughout 2012 and to 2016. She would return to TNA for the first time on January 7th, 2015 during Impact Wrestling's debut on Destination America. Awesome Kong returned after a battle royal and had an altercation in the ring with Havoc. She would work with the likes of Taryn Terrell and the Dollhouse, Gail Kim yet again, Lady Tarpa. She was doing all different things in the world of TNA yet again, mainly working with the likes of Taryn Terrell, Gail Kim, and Havoc. She would continue competing in TNA in 2015 and 2016 before eventually leaving for other things, and those other things were really cool things, by the way. After her time in TNA had come to an end, it was time to move on to other things other than professional wrestling for Kia Stevens. She would appear in 3 seasons of the hit Netflix show Glow, appearing, of course, as Tammy the Welfare Queen Dawson. Yeah, that's a real thing. Of course, based on the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling from the 80s. A great show, by the way, that I should add that you should go and watch on Netflix, even though it has a little bit of an indecisive ending because Netflix cancels everything. But that's a different legacy for a different day. But she was the only wrestler in that show of the main cast, and she did a damn great job as the Welfare Queen in Glow. Now, of course, on May 25th, 2019, Awesome Kong debuted in AEW as a surprise entrant in the women's triple threat match at AEW Double or Nothing, making it a fatal 4-way, which of course she failed to win. She would then accompany Brandy Rhodes to the ring at AEW Fight for the Fallen, being face to face with Aja Kong after Rhodes won her match. She would continue her alliance with Brandy Rhodes. They were the Nightmare Collective. They were doing different things like cutting people's hair and doing all different kinds of stuff. She went away again to film Glow in 2020, and after not appearing on AEW since February of 2020, AEW decided not to renew her contract on June 1st, 2021. On August 28, 2021, Kia Stevens would announce her retirement from in-ring competition at NWA Empower, thus concluding her nearly 20-year career. It was of course announced that Kong would be inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory, and Gail Kim was the one who inducted her on October 23, 2021. Karma, Awesome Kong, Kia Stevens, whatever you want to call her, will go down as one of the biggest game changers in women's wrestling history. Her time in TNA was looked at fondly, it will always be looked at fondly, and she was a mainstay of the TNA Knockouts division and doing great things within the independent circuits and Japan, easy for me to say. And of course, her brief but impactful time, no pun intended, in WWE will forever be felt as one of the biggest what-ifs in wrestling history. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Legacy of. Make sure to let me know what you think about Awesome Kong in the comments below. There's only one more episode left of The Legacy of Season 3. Next week, we're looking at The Legacy of the Bra and Panties match. I'm sure this one will go down well. Of course, you can follow me at JoshRobinson_00 pretty much across the board. Follow Love Wrestling at Love Wrestling CA pretty much across the board. And until next week, guys, I am out of here. Peace out.